You asked for it, you get it. Ryu and I will rip your photos into smithereens. Hold on to your headphones. Here comes the pain.
Basically, the pain that we talked about off air just now was the fact that the Matt Cohen's MacBook Pro, almost at air, crapped out on him, and there's a lot of money, and it was a quite sad story, And yeah, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to the Mac?
Yeah. Don't buy a MacBook Pro right now.
Yeah, so this sounds like a kind of general consensus. I've actually spoken to other people about it as well, and no one really likes it at all. But we have to then talk about other things, such as your horrendously lovely picture on training ground. And before we start that, we started a 5-minute video thing that's going to come every other week. So in essence, we're going to have 4 contents per month. We're going to have 2 videos. Matt's going to do one, and I'm going to do one once per month. So it's like a 5-minute video of things that related to sports photography that we kind of thought about for that week or for that moment. And we will share with people who are paying us on Patreon. So because I think it was important for us to be able to actually provide exclusive contents for Patreon pledgers. And the other ones obviously will be Training Ground, as we're doing right now, and the podcast. So Happy New Year. It's 2017, and hopefully we will have a better one than we did last year. Especially with this guy, Reed, this is good. I don't know why it's even here. It's good, no?
I think that Reed did everything right until it came time to decide whether it worked or not. The composition is good. Like, he's set up in a good place, and I like the way the mountain comes down on one side and up on the other side. And really everything other than the skier is good, but that, this is where editing is really important. That's not a good look for that skier.
No.
This is one of those times where we say you got screwed, right? You did everything right. You were in the place. You set your camera properly. You had the right gear. You had, the timing was fine. All of it was fine, but you got screwed by the skier, because him looking at the camera nonchalantly like that, and the position of his arms and his body and all that is super boring. He may as well be on the ground, really. What do you want? Well, if he's looking at the camera, I want him making a face or sticking his tongue out or something like that. If not, I want him looking like he's actually skiing. And then you want either him being in a tuck because he's trying to get the most distance out of his jump, or he's doing an iron or something interesting, but he's doing anything interesting at all. He may as well be just standing still. So there's nothing that we can correct that you did on this, except for when you look at a picture like this, you have to figure out, did I fall in love with the idea that I had for where to be and how to set up the picture, to the point that I forgot that the person who's in the picture needs to be doing something cool.
I mean, that's one of the really important thing in terms of shooting sports in general, is that how the body looks on that particular frame. Because if you see someone running, and if you do 10 frames per second, 12 frames per second, if you see it, you will notice that one looks better than the other. It looks it's more beautiful. And anything that's relating to motion, there are basically poses in the way that the body kind of the person actually puts the weight onto a particular part of the body that makes it look more beautiful. And that's something that is really important, because he's done I think it's good that he's done this. I'm happy that it's a bit of a departure from what he's actually been doing for the past God knows how long. And there is a improvement on the things he's actually done compared to what he's done in the past. But yeah, I mean, this is something that, I guess you could have just told him to go back to on the lift again and do the whole thing again. Because if you know you can actually get this type of shot, then why not do it again? And maybe this is the best one that he's got, and that at that point means that like he's not done his job, because this is not a competition. So there's a lot of instruction that has to go into the particular guy you're going to be photographing, because this is like, it's a, you know, it's a beauty shot, and that's what it is with most action action sports photography, like they say. So if it's, you know, whatever, BMX or skiing or snowboard or whatever, because it's not usually during a competition you have all these shots. So there has to be instruction involved in all these things, and you have to tell that person, say, hey, I'm gonna be sitting here and I'm gonna be composing, and you actually make sure you know, you ski here with that sort of like kind of, you know, expression, or with that kind of like that look when you pass around this thing. Like, you have to then tell that person to do that, because otherwise all that effort you actually went to actually getting this, you know, nice location and everything goes to basically nothing, and you just basically wasted an entire afternoon, you know, doing this.
Yeah, so I've done this kind of thing before, where, you know, I just went up with a friend and, you know, shot them snowboarding. I've done this a few times actually, and really this takes a lot of planning, because you can't ski uphill and it sucks to walk, you know, with your gear uphill and everything. So what you want to do is know the mountain, and, you know, go down it a couple times and make some notes as to where you want to get him, and then talk to him about, you know, what to be doing and where you're going to be and what he should be doing, and, you know, just the general stuff of don't look at the camera unless you're going to be, you know, making a cool face or something like that. And then you want to get more than one picture or one, you know, burst per time up the lip, because it, you know, that's really time consuming. But if you have like a long lip, it would take you 20 minutes to get down just skiing straight away, then, you know, have a plan. Say, okay, well, here's the first one is like a minute from the top, and so, you know, give me a couple minutes to go down there and get set up, and then go through and do your jump and do something cool, and then stop, and then let me go further down the hill to the next one, which you've already discussed where it is, get a head start, go down, do the same thing, so you can get like 5 or 6 of these per run. And then it's not like you've only scouted out one place, and if he goes by you, then he has to go way down the next lift and back up to the top and come down again. You're just wasting time. But if you organize it, then you can get tons of shots. And, you know, if you need to repeat the whole mountain, you can do that, learning the lessons that you learned the first time down. So this kind of stuff isn't an accident. Like, it just takes planning and commitment to, maybe this isn't going to be just a pure fun skiing kind of day. It's going to be a, let's see how many great pictures day. And, you know, you have to decide if that's how you want to spend your vacation or not. But honestly, I don't prefer lugging my full-size camera gear on a mountain and then having to snowboard down the mountain. It kind of sucks, and you're worried about falling on your gear, breaking gear, hurting yourself and all that. So if you're going to do it, you may as well get the most out of it, and that takes planning.
Matt, can you start talking about it? Because I need to actually like fix something real quick. So give me like 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, this is fine as far as it goes. It's got a, you know, it's the two guys in a ball picture. You do have the guy in black holding the guy in red back a little bit. But that's not enough. It's just,
yeah, no,
you need to, you know, you could have like dragging him down or grabbing his jersey, and that would be enough, but you only have a portion, you know, like a certain percentage of that. Like this, it's just not dramatic enough. Neither of them are doing anything interesting other than running. Like, nobody's in the air, nobody's making any kind of face or anything like that. So it really just ends up being just a standard kind of picture. And while it doesn't necessarily need to be in training ground, it's also not good.
No. It shouldn't be on training ground because of the fact that, like, you know, one thing that we're both gonna say, it's the feet, and it's a no-no.
You just can't do that. You can't. It sucks, you know, when you're shooting with a long lens and it's not a zoom or whatever, but this just is not going to work like this. I mean, that's a great expression. It's a great moment with the guy in the background. You did all of those things right, but you can't cut his foot off. It's just no go.
No, 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 no. I love the scenery. It's just like it kind of like looks like they're just kind of, you know, rolling down a hill. That doesn't really look like a competition, and there's nothing you can do. But I'm sure this is how it exactly looks like. It's not. I don't think they're just kind of taking it easy, because I think it's one of those courses you can't go that fast because there's a turnover there. But the scenery is great. I think it's great. It's a great, you know, and you actually waited for all the cyclists going to be there at like the important points. There's not much you can, like, there's no excitement there. It's beautiful. I like it, you know, like I like the fact that like it's good.
But that's the scenery thing. It's not beautiful because the light isn't good. Like the light is super flat, like overcast, or I guess it was just overcast. But
they can fix
that's what's
though, you know.
No, that's what's contributing to this, is that the symmetry is the only thing that's working here. The way that those curves are designed, the blue tape, and the the portions where the riders have been over a number of times so that you can see the grass poking through. Like, that's the only thing that's really working for this. Like I would take issue with even how the riders are arranged in this, and you can't plan that either. But I don't like the guy in the top right, because everybody else kind of, you know, at least you can see both the tires, but he's coming straight on. So, you know, it would have been better if they had been, you know, like more evenly distributed through the rest of the frame. So I think that part of it is off. You can't control that either, but it's still the difference between whether it's a picture and whether it's not a picture. And
it's not.
From this perspective, that's the only way that this was going to work. You know, if they were, you know, like evenly spaced all the way going through here, and then it looks like a, you know, like a model train set or something like that. But as it is, the way it's arranged doesn't work. The light is too flat. There's nothing you can do, because the riders themselves are super underexposed here, because you exposed for the snow, but the light on it was so flat that it's just flat. Everything is flat. So, you know, not saying there was something that you could do here, but you chose to shoot it, and you chose to keep it, and you chose to put it in here. So that's what you get. It's just not good. I get what you were trying for, and it's good that you were actually trying something that could have worked out, but this didn't work out.
And I think that there has to be credit given for that. I can't just like say, because if I shot this picture, I would throw it away, because it is like I know what I've done, what I wanted to do, like what I tried to do, and it didn't work out. And it's also one of those things, like at that point, because this is a race, it's a cyclocross championship in Colorado. That means that it's a race. That means that you're gonna go through these things again. That if I see this on my preview screen on my camera, I'm just going to tell myself, okay, that just doesn't work. Like there's like the light, how it is right now, and the way, like, for me, like for this to work, it has to be like, for instance, like absolutely the same. Like for instance, the top part, the top right guy is there, and then let's say there's another guy on the bottom half of the thing, almost exactly the same position. And let's say that all the other riders were gone except for the guy who's actually going to the left. I think that would actually have worked out, because there's certain kind of symmetry in it, you know? But when there's so many of these people there, then what else can you possibly do? Then you got to start thinking in your head again, like, okay, if it doesn't work out this way, would I risk it and just like wait for the perfect moment to come? Or would I try to like use exactly the same, this whole setting, or try it from a different angle? Or trying from a different framing, like think of something else. And that's very important, that certain times, like I get stuck in this one particular idea, like during a shoot, whatever the sports may be. And then so I'm going to do this, and I'll keep on doing it. And there are many moments, many matches I've been to, different sports, that they basically dedicate the entire game to getting this particular shot and didn't get it. But at least for me, I don't feel bad if I did that because I know I wanted to try and I wanted to get that particular shot. And I will always regret if I had like not given like really like 100% of myself to get that particular shot. And if it didn't, you know, if it didn't work out, then I can say, okay, at least I've actually done it. So there are points like really that you have to kind of decide like what you want to do, when you want to do it, and if it's really worth it to actually do that kind of stuff. Because if you're not shooting for an agency, if you're not shooting a particular assignment, then I think you should definitely always do it. You know, find a way to like find out how this particular setting is going to work out for you. And otherwise, it's like, oh, it's a bit half-assed, you know. And it's always not a good thing to do half-assed stuff with anything. No, because there's nothing is in focus. I'm looking at the bigger version here. It's not. No, it's just all out of focus. And we know when
there's a limit. There's a limit to what you can do with
panning,
slow shutter stuff. I mean, this isn't even really panning, is it? It's just slow shutter.
Yeah.
It's it's challenging. I talked about this a little bit in my best of, because I had a panning picture that I've had go pretty badly wrong. Like if you're expecting the action to go directly from side to side, and in the course of that it goes up and down, you're gonna miss pretty badly, because not only is the motion out of phase with the way you're moving the camera, but it also is out of time with it too. So it's going up, which is moving across your pan, but it can't go up and back down and then across again in the same time, right? So you could perfectly track one point on the person that you're shooting with them. So as they went across, up, down, and then across again, but that's really hard. Like when you're panning, you're basically trying to keep it as level as you can through the motion of the pan. The slower you go and the more unpredictable the action is, the more of a mess you're going to have. And that's what you have here. It's just a mess. It's three guys moving in three different directions, too slow for the shutter that you have. And, what would be, if let's say you were set up like this and you were trying to do something like this, think about what the best outcome of all of this would have been. I can't think of it, because they're all going to be moving and then stopping and they make impact. So what kind of picture were you hoping to make? What kind of picture would be the best picture given the setup that you had that you were going to get? I can't think of what that would be, because you're not panning. This is basically standing still, given the way the lines are in the background. It doesn't even look like it was panning at all. So it's slow shutter. So what was the blur that would have made this picture? And I just don't think that there wasn't.
Oh, I think it was a shit picture. So moving on. I think that's kind of what he was going for, no? Yeah. And at least like it's a bit more focused, but yeah. There has to be something a bit more interesting going on. I think the only thing that's interesting going on is a blur, and that's not good enough. It's like you don't just like claim that it's a good picture because it's blurred and it's in focus. Like you need to have something going on.
Really, the only time that this kind of thing works is when you're doing like the rear or front curtain flash, so that you have a bunch of blur, but then you have, it's frozen. It's frozen in one part, but then you have like a trail. Whether that trail is linear, falling, or whatever, it doesn't matter. But you have at least part of the picture is readable, and that can be useful. Like there are good pictures that have been made doing that, but I just don't know, how you can do that when the flash is what defines that one frame of the picture. When you don't have it, all the light is the same and all of the motion is equivalent with all the other motion, and it just ends up being it's just a mess. Like, would this picture have been good if it was regular thousandth of a second? No, it's just So if you're not going to have something that's good starting out at full speed, I don't know what you hope to have at slow shutter.
Yeah. It's a tricky one because of the fact that you want to really, I know you want to put the snow in the background because otherwise you would have actually
Is this the
taken it like
same?
this.
Is this the same
No,
event?
it might be. Maybe they're friends.
I don't know, but it's, it's got that snow and the path and then the blue tape.
Yeah, but the other one was like he said was taken on December, so it might be a different one then. You know, they do snow in different places, Michael.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably not.
Anyway, no. The problem is that the spectators mess up the background to the part. It just gets mushy. That there's no separation between the guys running up and the spectators in the background. The angle's bad because if you're going to be higher up the mountain, then you want to be lower to the ground. You probably weren't allowed on the whole course or whatever if you had to stay outside of the lines. But this isn't like it doesn't look dramatic enough. And if you had lower, it would have like these big guys carrying bikes or whatever on the shoulders, and if the wheels were like the highest thing that you could see. But the way it is, like there's just too much crap in the background to
Matt, are you using
make
like
it work.
any sort of like Wi-Fi device at all? If there's like any phone that you can switch off, because you're a bit like going funky with your voice for the past 10 minutes. So I switched mine off, it's not changing.
No, I don't. There's nothing going on here.
Really? It's just your thing?
It could be just the internet. I don't know.
No, damn it. What I find it really interesting is basically the guy in the front, and I wanted to like, if I can like get an angle, I can actually like kind of see all these people basically carrying the bike, and just kind of go with that and not try to get the entire, because I know he wanted to basically put the snow in there. I know he wanted to actually put the snow in there. Like I really understand. Like I think that was really this whole thing. He really wanted the snow in there. But you have to like always think about, like Matt said, like you have to like really think about the background, because that's really, 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 really important. Like you've done everything right, and from this angle, you know for a fact that there's going to be galleries, like it's fans out there, and same thing. Like you look at it and you have to say, no, that doesn't work because there are people in the back that it's really, really, really distracting. Then you got to switch it over and say, okay, what else can I actually do with this? And it's not like the sort of like kind of giving up on certain ideas and just kind of moving on, or just kind of altering a little bit so it actually works. It doesn't like, it seems to like not hit a lot of people. They're just going to keep doing the same shit and say, okay, you know what? I think this is fine because I've got the people, the line that I kind of wanted to be in this particular line. They're carrying the bike, and I wanted to get that with the snow. But that's like only, I don't know, not even halfway. You got to think about the entire setting and entire like how the feel of the photo is and everything. And it's just really lazy. And you really shouldn't be this lazy at your level. You should not be this lazy to actually do it. It's like it's unacceptable. It's not good at all. This is just boring. What else to say? Anything?
No, it's it's
boring.
It's just boring.
Yeah. You could crop it. Like
yeah,
the on the right.
Yeah, it does. It has like what we were talking about with that with the picture before, Toyan's picture. This is what we were looking for, right? Like he's actually got a handful of his jerseys, pulling it to the point where it looks like it's ready to rip, and the other guy's giving him the stiff arm. The guy on the left's face looks like he's actually trying something, and the light's good. You don't need whatever that little sliver is on the right edge, and it's a shame about the guy in the background on the left side, but You could crop this to, for more maximum impact. So basically to the, to the heads and to the ball and the arm, just get rid of all
Or
the
just
extra
like,
stuff.
yeah, just like do just the hand and the shirt and the guy, and that's it. Just get rid of everything else. I
You
think.
could do that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
You could just
but
have
it's
the,
unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
but it's, this is something to look for. Like I've been trying to figure out how to say this the best, but, um, I, I think about how close can I get to things no matter what I'm shooting. I want to know, not that I'm going to do it every single time or for every single picture, but I want to know how close I can get. And the reason for that is that things look better the closer you are. It's just the way that everything is. Like the depth of field is working for you, the lenses are working for you, you're maximizing the sensor, all of that, all those technical things, plus the visual things like how big the thing is in the frame and the details that you can see and all of that. And this is, you're shooting with a long lens, so you are, technically speaking, you're close enough to it, and so you have the detail that's needed to, if you wanted to crop it to the hand, you could crop it to the hand. But everything is better when you're closer, and then you can decide when it's too close and when you either need to back up or use a shorter lens or something like that. But this is better because you're not trying to fit the whole bodies in like we've seen in all these other pictures. Like this is inherently more interesting because you're not fitting the whole bodies in.
Mm. Um.
Ugh.
Oh, my cat's even saying meow. That's a bad meow as well. I think it's maybe the first time I've actually seen Anatoly actually put pictures in. So thank you for putting in. But this is a shit picture. um, we are going to, like, I was thinking about, like, I need to talk to Matt about this, but I'm thinking about doing the next cross country on a motorsport guy, because there are quite a lot of like motorsport photographers out there, and I think you really need to like look at the top people and see if you can even emulate the way they shoot. And because motorsports is not an easy thing to do. People think it's really easy, or they think it's
It's
really
not.
easy that
It's
they can
not.
just basically stop the action, and it's not. It really isn't.
No, it's not easy, and it's not easy because of, largely because of safety. Like you just can't be as
That.
close to it as you want to be.
Hmm.
But the problem is that if you look at this picture, look where the interesting thing is happening. It's completely on the other side of the car. All that snow being kicked up, like shooting the other direction would have automatically been a better picture.
Hmm.
Not saying it would have been great, but all that snow kicking up with just the car like kind of as a silhouette behind it, that would have been better than this. But you have those like twigs in the foreground.
Oh.
The one on the left side is like sticking out far enough to cover part of the car. This was never like nothing from right here was going to work at all. And you got caught in like the in between of, you didn't freeze the wheels, but they're not moving enough to have it be like a pleasing kind of blur. So it's like you can see the treads and they just look like they're out of focus. Like that's not good. Like you're caught in no man's land. So you either need to slow it way down or speed it up. But you just need to be in a place that has a more pleasing, uniform foreground, and you need to get the separation that a little bit you have in the background, but not completely. But you don't want these like snowballs. You don't want these twigs. That stuff is not pleasing to look at. Nobody wants to look at that stuff.
No.
It just looks like trash laying there. It's not like, you want snow, either consistent, untouched snow or completely tracked out snow because cars have been all over it. But like, there's nothing going on here.
I mean, the thing is, like, you want the best thing that's actually going on for the fact that this is, you get the snow and you got the snow flying when they're going very, very fast. And if they're going on a curve and, you can see the snow is just kind of flurrying all over the place. And you should know at that point, if you've seen plenty of cars go by you, like where the snow is going. And you have to like then think about like, oh, what can I actually move from where I am right now? Should I go for another place where I can get the snow to be like kind of like a maximum effect of like, so we can get a better picture. Like, these things you gotta think about. This is just really, 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 really just bad. I know what you wanted to do, but it doesn't work because we're supposed to be looking at the jumbotron and looking at like them hugging, but I think it's a bit too wide for this to happen.
Well, and it's too far away. Even if you had a long lens, it would be too far away. And the lights are there, and the John Hancock sign above it is partially burned out. So, even in the best of situations, that was still going to look bad. There's too much extraneous things going on here, like the people who are looking through the glass but aren't celebrating. The reflection off the glass isn't helping at all either. And man, those lights blocking the scoreboard, to me, that would mean throwaway, right? Like I would shoot it, sure. But then I would look at it and I would see the lights in there and I would know that it's just not, like, these pictures still need to be visually interesting. Like something important needs to be going on and it needs to be visually interesting or visually pleasing, or even if it's just like eye candy or something, like just the reflections or something like that. But you can't have distraction at the exact point where you're calling people's attention. It just doesn't work like that. Like your brain kind of short circuits in that situation, and you're going to leave, even if you can't name why you don't like the picture, you're going to leave not having liked the picture.
Yeah, that's not good. Like I just think that, I mean, like it's just a bad picture through and through. I can't think of anything else to say. It's just really, it's a terrible picture. Fine, intention is there, fine, but intention doesn't really do anything. And you got to be thinking like, if something like this happens next time, like how am I gonna actually shoot this? And the only thing for me that is possible is you actually like shift a bit to the left, because that's really like even, saying that like if the goalkeeper, the goaltender is gonna be facing you like this, and if he can actually go get the goalkeeper's kind of like that mask or like his upper body, her upper body, and the people celebrating in the jumbotron, you can actually kind of do that. But even that might be a bit difficult because there's a board there in front of you. I don't think you're going to get enough angle to be able to actually shoot that way either. So I can actually like at least kind of surmise that way from what I've actually seen over here. But maybe this idea won't work unless the people who are celebrating or people who are basically being dejected, looking dejected, are going to be right in front of you. So you kind of like juxtapose the two emotions, the happiness, and basically the sad. But yeah, what Matt said about the fucking light over there is just a disaster. You just can't have that there. It's not good. I like the broken down John Hancock thing, but that's just the thing.
I don't want to harp on this, too much. But the thing is that we talk about like what editors see when they look at pictures, and I'm not saying that you need to shoot in a way that's going to please editors. You can do that or not do that or whatever. I don't do that. Ryu doesn't do that, but you can if that's what you want to do. But you definitely have to know what an editor is going to see when they look at your picture, because it can make you look like you don't know what you're doing. We know that Scott knows what he's doing, but you're communicating that you don't know what you're doing in this picture. To anybody who knows, any editor who's worth anything is going to look at this and they're going to think that you don't know what you're doing because you sent in a picture that had those lights, even if everything else was awesome. Those light and even if everything else was awesome and you were still trying to show what was going on that board, even if something great was happening in front of you and you were still leaving the board in, those lights covering it up, it's either what they're going to think is it's careless in that you didn't realize that it was there, you didn't look at your own picture close enough to know that they were there, or you thought that whatever was happening overcame something like that, and it clearly didn't. So they're going to question your judgment one way or the other based on looking at this. And you have to think about those kind of things, you know, maybe not even before you shoot, but certainly as you're looking at the pictures and before you decide, I'm going to send this in, or I'm going to put this up on my website, or even I'm going to put it up on Flickr.
No. Not good.
I'm fine with this. I'm totally fine with this.
I'm not too crazy about it. I just think it's just a. Oh, it really bothers me. I'm just thinking, I'm just kind of taking things out, putting back things right now. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like a very interesting picture to me. So
that's the thing. It's not super interesting, but it is visually pleasing. That's there can be pictures that aren't. You know, you can just make a picture that is okay but has great light or has like a cool reflection or something. I like this, the way that it's arranged. I like that the stick is going up at that direction, but then you have the lighting banks that are going in a different one, and that blue strip, and then the I guess those are the suite level strips. You know, and then you have the water coming down on the boards and it's out of focus. All of those things, like, this is a good detail picture. Like, this isn't going to be on the front page or anything, but if you have a gallery of pictures and you're showing these girls played in an outdoor stadium or something like that, I think this shows that. I think it's, you know, stadium lights and the condensation on the boards and the reflections.
I like
and
the
everything.
condensation on the board. I think that's the only thing I really like about the picture, and that's about it. So it's a matter of taste, I guess.
Yeah.
Scott. That's the last of the read one. No, it's not center enough, and I think you're just using black and white because
it's a crush.
You thought,
it's a crush.
It's not good. Like, it should be like that whole thing should be kind of symmetrical, you know, like that. The elevation should be symmetrical. Everything should be symmetrical if you're gonna do this. And yeah, by the way, like, speaking of which, I'm gonna probably shoot in black and white when I go to Japan as well at the end of this week to shoot football in the snow, because I want to do, you know, snow and dark stuff. So hopefully you're gonna be wearing dark stuff. Yeah,
you're gonna shoot black and white JPEGs, or you're gonna shoot it, convert it?
I'm gonna probably shoot in RAW and I'll convert it later on. Because this, you know, why would I want to shoot in converted, like, from the camera? It doesn't many, you know. I think I just lose a lot.
You do all kinds of weird shit.
Yeah, but I thought about it a bit, and I think it's better if I shoot it in color. And if I don't like it, I just just stick with color and not do it in black and white. That kind of like wraps up. That's the last one, by the way. Of what? This is
it's training ground.
Training ground. Sorry, I just gonna been. So if you kind of like wandered onto this, like, just for absolutely no reason whatsoever, just randomly, this is part of Big Lens Fast Shutter. We are a sports photography website and video and everything else. If you want to know more about us, please go to biglensfastshutter.com. You can go to Facebook and you can search for that. You can go to flickr.com and you can search for that. And we encompass everything. You can go to iTunes to look for us as well. And that will be it. We will bring you, this should be up tomorrow. That's Wednesday. And on Thursday, we will be recording our podcast. So if you want to put your questions, masterclass stuff, assignment desk, and whatever else you want to put in, please do so, because you don't have that much time. So that will be it. Anything else you want to add? That's it?
No, that's it.
Okay, that's it. Well done and not well done. Thanks, guys.